To top stories. A planned protest against increased sand prices fails to take place. PSV operators support a uniform policy, and a wrongful death suit filed against St. Lucia Police. Welcome to Nation News for Monday, March 10, 2014. I'm Natasha Beckles.
At Courts, every day we bring affordability, convenience, innovation, and style to over 1 million customers in 11 countries. From homes to communities, we are proud to make a difference in the lives of many across the region. Courts, bringing value home.
A planned protest outside Walker's Quarry St. Andrew did not materialize as expected this morning. At 8 a.m., only 8 truckers were parked outside the lone sand mining quarry, refusing to purchase sand after the company announced on Sunday that it was increasing the price of a ton of sand from $26 to $42 without value-added tax. Some truckers who turned up said they had no choice but to pay the increases. Others who were not aware of the price hike simply left, saying they would have to report the increase to their customers before collecting the sand. Brian Alkins, operations manager at the quarry, told Nation News the board of directors for Islands Development Limited, which owns the quarry, decided to increase the cost given rising operational costs as well as losses over the past 3 years. Director of NFS Rentals Hardware, Winston Callender, and Vernal Lewis of Lewis Concrete expressed disappointment that they did not receive the necessary support they had expected to successfully boycott the quarry. However, they said they would be looking to form an association so that they can have discussions with the management of the quarry as well as government, because the increase could cripple the construction industry.
I believe that the person that brings the sand to them directly is the person that's responsible for it. Barbados need to realize that it is starting right here by an 85% increase. This is what Barbados need to realize, that right here at Walker's in St. Andrew, some entrepreneur has decided, without giving the country reason, to increase the price by 85%, and this will spiral building costs by 35%.
The Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SEDEMA, today launched construction of an $8 million headquarters, including a training facility, offices, and a warehouse. The facilities are being constructed on land at Lair St. Michael, provided by the government. Addressing the groundbreaking ceremony this morning, Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite said SEDEMA was important if the region was to continue to build resilient communities and withstand disasters. He said Hurricane Katrina in 2005 has shown how important it was to coordinate disaster relief efforts. He also said it was important to have efforts aimed at disaster prevention and mitigation, because natural disasters could wipe out 25 to 50 years of economic and other gains for countries. The Queen Elizabeth Hospital's bed replacement program got a $145,000 boost this morning. The donation from the Barbados Light and Power Company will go towards the purchase of regular ward beds as well as orthopedic and critical care beds. The hospital's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Dexter James, says there's an increased demand for specialized equipment given the aging population and the high number of heart attacks and strokes. He said the hospital planned to retrofit some wards with critical care beds so patients who needed some monitoring but not intensive care could be cared for on the wards. Public service vehicle operators support the implementation of a uniform policy. Today, some drivers and conductors from the Cheapside and Riverbus terminals said they had no problem wearing them, with some saying it should have been implemented and enforced a long time ago. Miranda Holder says she agreed with the uniform policy but questioned if the April 7th deadline was enough time for operators to prepare. Scores of primary and secondary school children listened to a message of peace as Anglican priest John Rogers implored them to reject practices such as bullying at the annual Multi-Faith Commonwealth Day service at St. Mary's Anglican Church this morning. Rogers encouraged the young people to hold firm to the principles of the Commonwealth to create a world that is more tolerant and more just. Governor General Sir Elliot Belgrave read the Queen's Commonwealth Day message, in which the head of the Commonwealth noted more and more children and young people were participating in Commonwealth Day celebrations through the advances of technology. In regional news, a wrongful death suit has been filed in a case involving 31-year-old Mandy Louisi, who was shot and killed by St. Lucian police on August 9th last year. Mary Francis, Director for the International Center for Legal and Human Rights, said the family had been stonewalled in an attempt to get information on the inquest, and they opted to go ahead with a civil suit. Louise was shot during a struggle with police. He reportedly brandished a knife after a routine stop and search. Francis said cases involving the police dragged on for too long, and it was time for St. Lucians to demand justice, especially since the police were responsible for enforcing the law.
I thought we would have learned from the Operation Restore Confidence and the delay in the inquest and so forth. When there are police killings, those things ought to be taken more seriously than when you have some other unnatural deaths, because the state is responsible for preserving life and order. The state is responsible for protecting human rights. And when the state is in breach like that, the delays are just too long, and that is unacceptable.
Summation continued in the Vibes Cartel murder trial today in Jamaica. Cartel, real name Adidja Palmer, is one of several men charged with the murder of Clive Lizard Williams. Meanwhile, American entertainer Busta Rhymes is in Kingston and has been attending the trial as a show of support.
The history, the legacy, the rivalry, the passion. We versus them. West Indies versus England. 3 T20s, March 9th, 11th, and 13th at the Mecca. We versus them.
In sport, West Indies cricket fans are still talking about the comprehensive 27-run victory over England yesterday in the first 2020 at Kensington Oval. And no doubt they're looking forward to tomorrow's second match. Marlon Samuel scored 69, Chris Gayle 43, and Dwayne Smith 27, as West Indies reached 170 for 3 of their 20 overs. England were undermined by birthday boy Samuel Badri, who took 3 wickets, including 2 in 2 balls, restricting England to 143 for 9 of their 20. Tim Bresnan was unbeaten on 47, and Ravi Bopara scored 42. Tomorrow's match starts at 2 p.m. Carlos Brathwaite took 4 wickets and Ashley nursed 3 as Barbados beat Guyana by 136 runs at the Guyana National Stadium yesterday in the regional 4-day tournament. Barbados completed victory in 3 days, bouncing back from a humiliating first-round loss to the Windward Islands. Guyana were chasing 230 for victory, but Brathwaite took 4 wickets for 34 runs, nursed 3 for 39, and Silman Ben 2 for 8, as Guyana were all out for 94 in the second innings. Earlier, Barbados scored 186 in their second innings after taking a first innings lead of 44 runs. Devendra Bishu took 5 for 71. In round 3, which starts on Friday at the 3Ws Oval, Barbados will play combined campuses and colleges. Sprinters Levi Cadogan and Mario Burke headlined the 20 athletes who have met the qualifying standards for the 2014 Carifta Games. Last weekend, during the Carifta trials at the National Stadium, Burke blazed the victory in the under-18 boys 100 meters in 21.17 seconds, and Cadogan raced to a personal best 20.72 seconds in the under-20 boys event. Hurdlers, throwers, jumpers, and middle-distance runners comprise the group who have qualified for the April 19th to 21st athletics meet in Martinique. Jockey Patrick Husbands claimed his 4th Gold Cup in fine style last Saturday at the Garrison Savannah. Husbands piloted pre-race favorite and American import Major Marvel to a 3.5-length victory over Trinidadian horse Nominee ridden by Nobel Abrego, with Sean Latchman took 3rd on Dashing David in the Sandy Lane sponsored event. Husbands, who is awaiting results on an injured leg that could end his storied career, created history by becoming the first jockey to win all 3 stakes races on Gold Cup Day, also winning the Spa Sprint and Tanglewood Stakes. Sports was brought to you by We vs. Them, West Indies vs. England series. And finally, an Australian man didn't panic after he was bitten by an eastern brown snake. He just grabbed a cold one. Rodney Somerville was gardening outside his home in Yeppoon when he was bitten on the finger by the deadly snake. He then grabbed his shovel and whacked his snake in the head with it. Figuring that he might die, the 54-year-old decided to have at least one last beer. So that's what he did. He went inside and got one out the fridge and drank it. If you panic, it makes it worse. He called an ambulance as well and eventually received the anti-venom. Unfortunately, he had an allergic reaction to the medicine and is still in hospital after 3 weeks. And that's Nation News for Monday, March 10th. I'm Natasha Beckles.